I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, October 16th, 2023 to order at this time. I'd like to start with first Ben Warren, our Assistant County Manager, in the invocation, and we'll follow that with Assistant County Manager Carrie Sanders leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Let us pray. God, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you this evening. We pray for your blessings on this meeting, and we ask that you give our commissioners wisdom and discernment as they conduct the business of Onslow County. Father, we pray for our military and first responders who continue to serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice, and we ask for their protection and safekeeping. God, we pray that all we do this day will bring you honor and glory, and that your will be done, and we ask these things in your name. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, join us in a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just recognize the elected officials tonight, and I believe that Sheriff Thomas is the only one here this evening, so we appreciate him being here as always. Thank you, Sheriff. We ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. That being said, the first item up tonight is the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the items on the consent agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 3. Mr. Warren, public comment.
Thank you, Chairman. We do not have anyone signed up this evening for public comment.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to move right into our public hearings. So we'll turn that over to you, sir, and get started on the public hearings we have tonight.
All right. Well, we do have 2 public hearings scheduled for this evening's meeting. The first is rezoning case PREZ 2023-00021, and this is a public hearing on the Blake rezoning. And I'll ask our Planning and Development Director, Mr. Carter Metcalf, to provide the staff introduction and background.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and our Board of Commissioners. We'll get started with the first rezoning here tonight. PREZ number 2023, number 21. It is the Blake rezoning, and the applicant is Mr. John L. Pierce and Associates, and the owners are Betty Elizabeth and the James E. trustees. Now we'll begin with an overview of the request. It's from rural agriculture to community business, or RA to CB. 2 properties in question, 324-171 and 324-171.1. It's located at the intersection of Merle Hill Road and Burgaw Highway, or specifically 1655 Merle Hill, and then as well 2137 Burgaw Highway, and is in the Jacksonville Township. The rezoning area is 0.92 acres, and the existing use is vacant forested land and a single-family residential. We'll look at the services. There's a 14-inch Onwassa water line along Merle Hill Road and a 12-inch Onwassa water line along Burgaw Highway. And the anticipated wastewater would be for individual septic systems. And as well, there is the fire service is southwest and with an ISO rating of 3. The traffic counts we have from NCDOT are from 2019. On Burgaw Highway, we have 12,500 with a staff estimated capacity of 15,000. And Merle Hill Road for 3,200, staff estimated capacity of 12,668. Now we'll look at the zoning for the property. It's currently rural agriculture. There you can see on the opposite side of Burgaw Highway, community business, and the opposite side of Merle Hill Road, you can see highway business. A look at the current zoning district is rural agriculture, minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet or 0.46 acres. And the purpose of the rural agriculture zoning district is to maintain a rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county while accommodating limited low-density single-family and limited commercial uses. Comparison, we'll look at the proposed zoning district as community business. No minimum lot size, and the purpose of community business is to accommodate the establishment of small-scale retail and service uses that would serve that nearby neighborhood and rural community. And we'll look at the future land use category is the Community Growth Activity Center. And this category is to act as a focal point for activity, especially when it's pedestrian-oriented and transit-supported. The appropriate uses are retail and service trades that are community-wide rather than area-wide, and as well for convenience shopping rather than comparison shopping, with a mixed use of residential. The key to note is that community growth activity centers should support that nearby community as opposed to being area or regional wide. We'll look at the future land use map. The top left corner, you can see the property is in the teal or turquoise color and is in the community growth activity center. There to the right of your screen, you can see how that area is centered on the Pony Farm, Merle Hill, and Burgaw Highway intersection and kind of radiates out from that, going to high density residential to medium density residential. So the concept here is you'd have a commercial service core that would then support that nearby community. And we'll look at reasonableness in the public interest. May be considered reasonable due to other nearby commercial zoning, and community business is a corresponding zoning district to that future land use category. It's supported by 5 policies in the comprehensive plan, and they detail that commercial should be located at nodes or at significant intersections such as this one. May be considered unreasonable because there's not necessarily a strong transition to the residential that's nearby. And policies 36 and 39, again, kind of speak to that desire of having larger commercial areas and more of a transition. At Planning Board, they met on September 7th to do their public meeting for the item, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval. The applicant spoke on behalf of the request in favor of it, and no citizens spoke against the request. We'll look at the aerial for the property. You can see there its relative position to that intersection we've been discussing. There to the east is a BP gas station, and there to the northeast is a Family Dollar. Let's take a closer look at the property. There you can see it is vacant with a single-family residential structure on the property, but does appear to be vacant. We can look at that here in this next picture. There is the subject property. The road in front of you is Merle Hill Road. You can see the required zoning sign that we had to post per North Carolina state law. Then as you kind of look to the right, you would see this view, which is there. You see that the BP and as well the Family Dollar. So it's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider their proposed zoning map amendment, PREZ 2023-00021, and adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation.
All right, thank you, Carter. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on rezoning case PREZ 2023-00021. And we do have one individual that has signed up to speak, Mr. John Pierce. Mr. Pierce, if you will provide your name and address for the record.
John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. I think Carter did a pretty good job of explaining the situation. This area is, I think, is the highest and best use for the property. In fact, right up the road from it, we don't have it now, but we've got sewer to a bunch of duplexes right up the road, and I would think within the near proximity, I know we're supposed to getting sewer in Countrywood, so I think it will be available shortly. And his family had advised me and spoke with me, the Blake family, and to be honest with you, right on the corner of 53, I think we're very similar to all the other three corners, what we were requesting. I think it's the highest and best land use, and I don't think it's ideal for single-family residential right on Highway 53 where the property is located. And I think that if you look at the comprehensive plan, I think this zoning is proper for that particular area. And I'll be here if you got any questions of any of the commissioners, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pierce. Being there are no other individuals signed up to speak, at this time we'll close the public hearing, and this item is available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Warren.
All right, thank you, Chairman. The next public hearing that we have for your consideration is rezoning case PREZ 2023-00022. And this is the public hearing on the provincial lane rezoning. And I'll ask Mr. Carter Metcalf to come back to the podium to provide the staff introduction.
Good evening, Board, again. Now we'll have the provincial lane rezoning, PREZ 2023, number 22. The applicant is John L. Pearson Associates, and the owners are Beaver Creek Investors Incorporated. We go with an overview of the request. It's from rural agriculture to residential 20, or RA to R20. Tax map number 337-26, and is located on Ramsey Road. It's in the Jacksonville Township, and the rezoning area is 93.02 acres. Existing use is active farmland and forested land. We'll take a look at the service overview now. There is a 12-inch Onwassa water line along Ramsey Road, and there are two private easements that do go into the property, and they are Lancer Lane and Provincial Lane. And there's a 2-inch Onwassa water line along both easements. And the wastewater would be expected to be individual septic systems. The fire service is Half Moon, and they have an ISO rating of 5. The traffic count we have from NCDOT is from 2018, so it is 5 years old, and is along Ramsey Road. It was, at that time, was 5,600. Staff estimates capacity at 13,140. Schools servicing the property would be Stateside Elementary, Jacksonville Commons Middle School, and Northside High School. Staff would estimate capacity, there would be available capacity at elementary school and at Northside High School, and there would not be capacity at Jacksonville Commons Middle School. Take a look at the zoning map. You can see the property is currently rural agriculture, and that is the lime green color. As well as alluded to previously, you can see both of those easements labeled there on the property, as long with its frontage on Ramsey Road. And there are all of the residential categories are in the nearby proximity, all the way from R20 to R5. Take a look at the current zoning is rural agriculture, minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet or 0.46 acres. And the purpose of this district is to maintain a rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county while accommodating for limited limited low density single family and limited commercial uses. Comparison, residential 20 has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet or 0.46 acres, and is to accommodate low density single family in suburban areas of the county that have access to utility and transportation infrastructure to support development at that scale. Both zoning districts have the same minimum lot size, and both allow for subdivision of 20,000 square foot lots. The main difference would be R20 would limit the uses to those related to single family, while RA has a variety of other non-residential uses designed to serve a rural agricultural community. Two future land use categories. First is rural residential, and this is preserve undeveloped or sparsely developed lands that were not classified as agriculture forestry. And the goal of that is to contribute to that recognition or impression of rural character. That area that would, indicate you're in the county and not within city limits. And as well, the conservation category. And this is to accommodate environmentally sensitive areas, such as those in the floodplain or in areas of environmental concern. Take a look at the future land use map now. You can see a majority of the property is in that rural residential or that dark purple color. while the light blue is that conservation color. The conservation future land use category also follows our floodplain and our regulated flood zones. You can see in this map, the property has 3 creeks, and that is on the eastern, western, and southern boundaries. And those are Mills Run Branch, Molly's Rice Patch Branch, and Half Moon Creek. The flood zones that are on the property are the AE and the floodway. Floodway is the most restrictive, and the goal is to not have increased any flooding in that area because it is designated to flood, hence the name floodway. We'll take a look at reasonableness in the public interest. May be considered reasonable because there's other residential zoning in the surrounding area, and R20 is a corresponding category to rural residential. This is well supported by 4 policies of the comprehensive plan. The summary of those is that we're support a diversity of housing. While it may be considered unreasonable because R20 does not align with the conservation future land use category, and there's a few policies that would not support the rezoning. Now we'll take a look at Planning Board. At September 7th is when the Onslow County Planning Board met, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval. The applicant spoke on behalf of it, in favor and supporting of it, and there were 4 citizens that spoke against the rezoning. Their concerns were development increasing flooding in the area, worsening traffic conditions on Ramsey Road, and increased development increasing congestion, easement maintenance of Lancer and Provincial Lane, and potential historical characteristics of the property. And we'll take a look at the aerial. Here you can see the surrounding area. You can see the intersection of Ramsey and Gum Branch, as long as that transitioning residential to the subject property. Then as well, take a little bit of a closer look. You can see there are a few parcels that are not a part of the rezoning, and they contain single-family residential structures or recreational vehicles. Now, as respectfully requested, I have one more slide. Sorry. That is what it looks like from the ground view if they're on Ramsey Road. You can see the property, or a portion of the property that had frontage there. And you can see our required rezoning sign. But it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the proposed zoning map amendment of PREZ 2023-00022 and adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. Concludes the staff presentation.
All right, thank you, Carter. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on rezoning case PREZ 2023-00022. We do have 2 individuals that have signed up to speak. We ask that once we call your name, when you approach the podium, if you'll provide your name and address for the record. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. John Pierce.
John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. Both categories permit 20,000 square feet. The main reason that I'm adamant about proposing to get this rezoning, there's a lot of uses in the RA that we don't need for the property. I prefer not to have. One is we can build a subdivision, and some of them's going to be some pretty good sized lots. In fact, we developed a piece right across the road, 32 acres into 29 lots. I rezoned it R20. And the main reason I want to rezone it is because RA does prohibit some commercial uses that would not be ideal. And it also permits a man to build a house, and if it's zoned RA, you can put a camper. And it's permitted by right. And there's some other uses that we don't need to build, a limited amount of commercial uses that we don't need in a residential subdivision. It also offers us flexibility to vary lots. We plan to have an entrance off of Ramsey Road. Those other 2 entrances are going to be strictly for emergency access, which will be passable because you need to. Good planning is to have multiple accesses. So there'll be 2 emergency accesses to the property, one Provincial Lane and one down Lancer Lane. We plan DOT streets, public water, fire protection, and also, instead of having all the mailboxes along Gum Branch Road and other places, we're going to be building community mailbox location areas, which will be much safer than those folks having to go out on Gum Branch Road. And also, we're going to have to build some whatever DOT requires to mitigate the traffic. As far as those areas, as conservation, we're not going to be developing anything in the wetlands or none of the floodplain zones. And we are going to have to be required to get a stormwater permit, erosion control permit, and a water extension permit. And of course, we're going to install fire protection. And I think it's a reasonable request because it does prohibit some of the uses that would not be ideal. In fact, it would take a lawsuit for us to remove somebody with a camper if one was put in. And if they come into the county, I don't think the county has no, if it's permitted in RA zone, I don't think they have any control but issuing them a permit to put a camper in. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Do what, sir?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I think it is too. And I'll be here if any of the commissioners has any questions for me. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pierce. Our second speaker for this public hearing is Mr. Stephen Monique.
Good evening. My name is Steve Monique. I live 136 Provincial Lane. My only concerns were that just the shaded X property is what's being rezoned, correct? Like my house, my property is still going to hold the same zoning category, or will that change as well?
This won't affect the zoning of your property.
Of my property, okay. And then Mr. Carter did a great job with the concerns that were brought up before about the flooding and the traffic, which has been a concern since we've lived, over about 20 years we've lived there. But and the only other thing I didn't think I'd like was I could move my mailbox to a community location. I got a big mailbox. The mail people can put enough my packages in there. I ordered. I don't have to worry about them. They're all going to fit in my mailbox. I don't think I should have to move mine if I'm not being rezoned. I think the housing developments, the new zone can go to their community mailbox. I should be able to keep my mailbox where I can come home from work, stop and get my mail, and proceed on to my house.
Yeah, this won't affect your mailbox.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Monique. Being there are no other individuals signed up, at this time we'll close the public hearing. And this item is available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Mr. Warren, I guess we'll move on to the general items now.
Yes, sir. The first general item that we have is a resolution supporting our local commercial fishermen, and I will read that resolution into the record. State of North Carolina, County of Onslow, Resolution 23-014, supporting local commercial fishermen. Whereas the Onslow County Board of Commissioners has been advised of relevant issues that would have a detrimental effect on Onslow County's commercial fishermen. And whereas members of our local fishing community, some of whom are recreational fishermen and headboat operators familiar with the fishery of North Carolina, are greatly concerned about the foreign importing of shrimp. And whereas the Onslow County Board of Commissioners is concerned with the following. Number one, the United States shrimp fishery throughout the Gulf of Mexico and the Southeast region is suffering an unprecedented catastrophic crisis that threatens its very existence and the many small, family-owned businesses that are at the core of the economies of coastal communities. Number two, the United States imports of frozen warm water shrimp nearly doubled from 2013 to 2021 to an unprecedented level of 1.8 billion pounds. Number three, the United States inventories of shrimp are overwhelmed, driving prices paid to shrimp fishermen to record lows that cannot cover the cost and expenses of a shrimp fishing trip, which are further exacerbated by historically high fuel prices and inflation. And number four, the consequences of the inundation of imported shrimp to our markets has caused significant revenue loss and loss of access to the shrimp fishery resource itself for small family-owned fishing businesses and other supporting businesses. Whereas the Onslow County Board of Commissioners supports management of fishery issues that incorporates the whole body of available evidence and considers the biology of the fish, environmental conditions, prior management actions, and uncertainties about the data. Now therefore be it resolved that the Onslow County Board of Commissioners reaffirms its unwavering commitment to North Carolina's fishing industry and requests that the appropriate agencies take the necessary steps to reduce and/or eliminate the continued harm to Onslow County's recreational and commercial fishermen, adopted this 16th day of October, 2023. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the proposed resolution and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Before we go into that, I'll say real quick that this is important for the coastal communities in North Carolina to step out and share this, because as the resolution has stated, it is having a major impact on the local shrimpers and fishermen here. And the biggest is, before they ever load up, by the time they finish loading up the shrimp boats to head out, they're already way behind on what they're going to make. And what this is doing is driving down the cost of the shrimp, and it is on the verge of eliminating the local businesses in our areas of Sneads Ferry and Swansboro. So this board has acted, along with lots of other boards in eastern North Carolina and the coast, to support the fishermen and the shrimpers, and that we need the state as well as others to get on board to protect the heritage of the families that have been doing this in Onslow County and surrounding areas for so long. So with that being said, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Warren?
All right, thank you, Chairman. Item B is the fiscal year 23-24 Justice Assistance Grant, and I will ask Sheriff Thomas to present this item.
The Onslow County Sheriff's Office has been awarded a one-year grant from the Department of Justice in the amount of $17,254 for the purchase of respirator personal protective equipment, specifically full-face air purification respirators or gas masks, filters, and voice amplifying devices. These equipment items will be purchased for use by the SWAT team, the Civil Response Team, and the Detention Special Response Team. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider accepting the grant in the amount of $17,254 from the Department of Justice for the purpose of the grant, and authorize the Assistant County Manager, Ben Warren, to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question for the sheriff. I know that the gas masks, I've been around the business like you have for a long time. Are they going to be fit tested?
All gas masks are fit tested.
Is that part of the?
Yes, sir, it is.
Is that okay?
It is. They'll be issued to individuals and fit tested for them.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you,
Thanks,
Sheriff.
sir.
Item C is surplus land, and we do have 3 new land offers, and I will ask Ms. Christina Russell, our Purchasing Division Head, to present these items.
Good evening. So the county received 3 new offers from citizens for the purchase of surplus real property. These offers are under parcel number 025537, listed as Pet Lane, 0.87 acres, at an offer price of $7,505.14. The second one is 050568, Beulahville Highway, 0.58 acres, at $3,037.23. And the last one is parcel 005213, 108 Bostic Road, 0.17 acres, at $4,500. The statute allows the county to sell property that no longer serves a public purpose and is uneconomical and inefficient. The county's standard practice has been to sell the surplus property using the negotiated offer, advertisement, and upset bid process. This process will allow other interested citizens the option to be able to upset a bid within that 10-day period. If no upset bids are received within the 10-day period, the properties will be sold to the citizens. If the county receives any upset bids, the highest offer will be brought back to the board for consideration. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve resolution number 23-013, 23-015, and 23-016, which authorizes the purchasing division head to conduct the sales using the negotiated offer, advertisement, and upset bid process, and to also authorize the chairman to sign the resolutions on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item D is the Department of Justice Enhanced Multidisciplinary Team Grant, and we'll ask Ms. Susan Thigpen, our Social Services Director, to present this item.
Commissioner, Chairman, the Onslow County has been awarded a 3-year federal grant from the Department of Justice in the amount of $375,000 for the development of an Onslow County enhanced multidisciplinary team. EMDTs are county-based teams that bring together a variety of disciplines to intervene in cases of older adult abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and will include a variety of professionals across the county. The grant will provide a dedicated EMDT coordinator, as well as funds for training and team building, and this role will manage the functions of the team, data collection, and complete reporting requirements. One of the primary goals of the EMDT is improving collaboration and communication among government, public, and private agencies in facilitating the discussion of complex cases and developing action plans, including resources and services to meet the needs of our older population. The grant award begins October 1st of 2023 and ends September 30th of 2026. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider accepting the grant funds in the amount of $375,000 from the Department of Justice for the purpose of the grant and authorize the Assistant County Manager, Carrie Sanders, to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the county. And I will be available to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
All right. And our final general item is item E, budget amendments, and we'll ask Mr. Andrew Prince, our Finance Officer, to present this item.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. This evening, I have 7 budget amendments for you. The reason for the additional budget amendments this evening is due to the fact that the state, all of their grant awards come out at the end of September, so a lot of these are related to additional revenues that we've received from the state. Budget Amendment B20 is to increase revenues and expenditures by $125,000 to receive funding from the Department of Justice Enhanced Multidisciplinary Team Grant. The $125,000 will cover the needs of the program for the first of the 3 award years. Budget Amendment 21 increases revenues and expenditures by $125,914. The increase for the budgeted revenues and expenditures will allow the county to expend funds and recognize grant revenues as funds are spent during the fiscal year 24. Budget Amendment number 22 is to increase budget and grant revenues due to additional funding of $14,584.19 from the Adult Protection Services Essential Services Fund. Budget Amendment 23 increases revenues and expenditures in the amount of $92,313.60 from funding authorization number 1, Low Income Household Water Assistance Program, also known as LWOP. Budget Amendment 24, AA 716 fiscal year 23, grant funding related to the infrastructure funds necessary for the distributing of vaccines, rolled forward funds into fiscal year 24. Estimated budget amounts were over what the AA awarded because funds were used for the vaccine program in fiscal year 23. Budget Amendment 25, the Region 8 Workforce Initiative Grant Funds for fiscal year 23 were rolled over into fiscal year 24 funding. And Budget Amendment 26, AA 543, fiscal year 23, rolled forward funds to fiscal year 24. Estimated budget amounts was over what was awarded because funds were used for the purpose in fiscal year 23. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the listed budget amendments for approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have a question. Just in general, it looks like a lot of rollovers happening, and is that because of the tardiness of the receipt of the funds with respect to the fiscal year start and finish, or can you add any more information to that? Thank you.
So the state does their awarding in September. Our budget year ends in June, so a lot of the times we don't know what kind of allocations we will receive from the state before they actually send us the paperwork, which is what results in these budget amendments here.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you for your
Thanks, sir.
time this evening.
Thank you, Andrew. So moving on to item 6, our appointments, and we do have one appointment this evening for the Onslow County Jury Commission. The Jury Commission consists of 3 members, one of which is appointed by the Onslow County Board of Commissioners. Ms. Sarah Diaz has expressed an interest in serving as the Commissioner representative and has provided a citizen participation application. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. Ms. Diaz's application is on file and has been certified by the Clerk's Office. It's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the appointment of Ms. Sarah Diaz as the Commissioner representative to the Onslow County Jury Commission for a 2-year term expiring June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Warren?
All right, thank you, Chairman. I do have a couple of comments this evening. The first is our Public Safety Memorial Ceremony will be held this year on Friday, October the 27th at 2:00 p.m., and it will be held here at the Public Safety Memorial at the entrance to Burton Park. So we certainly welcome the public to attend that ceremony with us. Also with our Parks and Recreation Department, a couple of events that have already taken place but really wanted to spotlight. At the beginning of the month, we had 2 large events that Parks and Recreation held on the same day at 2 different parks. And the first was at Hines Farm. They co-hosted the Fuzzy Peach 5K trail run with the Sports Commission. This was the second year we've held a 5K run at Hines Farm, but this year was a sellout, and we had over 315 participants in our trail run this year at Hines Farm. That same day, they also held the 2nd annual Coastal Pig Out Barbecue Festival at Onslow Pines Park. This year, they more than doubled the size of the event from last year's event, and it was just a wonderful day, great food and entertainment. They introduced a watermelon eating contest. They brought the axe throwing back out. They had a 30 or 40-foot rock climbing tower, and they also brought out a mechanical bull this year. So it was a great time for everybody there. They also, at the end of the month, Parks and Recreation will be hosting the Monster Bash, and this is an annual event they put on around Halloween time every year. It's grown year over year and is now the 2nd largest event that's held by Parks and Recreation. And last year, they had nearly 5,000 attendees for the event. And if you don't know what a Monster Bash is, it's basically a trunk or treat on steroids. This has become quite a competition amongst our county departments to see which department can give the most candy in support of the event. Every year we bring out the scales, the departments come with wagon loads of candy, and last year they brought almost 700 pounds of candy to donate to the event. And we still had to go out and get more candy to supplement that with the 5,000 attendees we had. So if anyone is looking for a safe, family-friendly event to bring their kids out for trick-or-treating, we definitely encourage them to consider coming out to Monster Bash. It's going to be held on Saturday, October the 28th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Onslow Pines Park. And that's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Commissioner comments. We'll start with Mr. Commissioner Bennett.
Surprise, surprise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did want to give a shout out to our county EMS and volunteer fire departments and the Jacksonville Fire Department for their displays on Fire Prevention Week out at Lowe's.
I got to take my grandkids, and they had a blast. A lot of different displays and events going on out there for Fire Prevention Week. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Parks and Recreation, because the same day I went down to Stump Sound for the fall festival at Stump Sound Park. And the grandkids enjoyed that too. So yeah, there's a lot going on in Onslow County, and Parks and Recreation has been really busy. We appreciate what all of you are doing for Onslow County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Commissioner Scott?
Well, it's been a busy week. We had fun at Hall's Run, pie eating contest. Won't say much more about that, but it was a great time. Been to several other events. I, too, was out at the display that we had at Lowe's. Is a great way to see what your taxpayer dollars are actually doing for us to keep us safe. And I really appreciate all those volunteers. And with that being said, good night.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Commissioner Buchanan?
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Price?
Was able to attend the BASES reception at, put on by Onslow County Schools. BASES stands for Businesses Assisting Schools in Educating Students. And I'd just like to take a moment and just thank those businesses and nonprofits and all the volunteers that put in their efforts to help educate the students of Onslow County, in addition to above and beyond what happens directly in the classroom. This is monies and contributions that they're given to help further their education. So we appreciate that. Also went to the Minority Enterprise Development Day Awards luncheon. The congratulations to the two who were recognized as the Linda Richardson Business Advocate of the Year was Gerardo Cruz and Lachey Cavers. And also was recognized the Diverse Entrepreneur of the Year, Miss Sylvia Runyon. The events of the past week, I think, have probably all kind of shocked us into a realization of how blessed we are. And also, I'd just like to encourage you to continue to pray for Israel as they embark upon a mission to bring the Hamas terrorists to justice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes. Serving as on the Airport Advisory Commission, I just wanted to say thank you both to Mitch as the interim director and Sandra for keeping the ship on the right course. And I told them that I would be a commercial for the airport, Albert Ellis Airport, for a couple of different events that are coming up. One is this Saturday, the 21st, from 11 till 2. There's going to be a fly-in event for general aviation. It's an opportunity for you to tour general aviation. There's going to be food trucks and games. You can actually check out some aircraft that'll be on display, and just kind of a fun time to see what's going on the civilian side, I guess, not the commercial, well, not civilian, it is civilian and not military part of the airport there. The other thing is, and this is a wonderful opportunity, there's a TSA pre-check pop-up enrollment opportunity. So for anyone who flies a lot and would like to get through the TSA line a little more quickly, maybe keep on your shoes, that's always my gripe. From October the 30th through November the 3rd, we have this pop-up event. They've been allocated 50 applicants a day. Walk-ups are okay. However, if you go to the Facebook page, you'll be able to see that there is an application to download to kind of make that easier for you, and you can schedule an appointment as well. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Vice Chairman Knapp.
I'll keep it short real quick. First, Ben, thank you for doing a great job on Mr. Smitherman and his overseas. You look good in that seat, so just want to throw that out there. But I'm glad to see Heinz Farm. We're utilizing Heinz Farm to its full potential. And I think there's some other things coming down the pipe, as we discussed in the past. And so that's encouraging for me as well. If you haven't gotten a copy of it, please check out the Daily News, JD News. There's a fantastic article about Ms. Sharon Griffin, our former county manager. They did the article right. So if you would, read the comments that are quoted in there and read about her impeccable credentials. I'm sure most of you already know. Some of us still stay in contact with her almost on a daily or other than daily communication, so to speak, and she's doing well. She started her new job, and I'm sure she'll announce that or whatever she's doing, but I wish her the best of luck. Get a copy of that article. Outstanding article. Morgan Stalling did an outstanding job for JD News, and I'm proud to see that. Other than that, got a phone call or a text message Saturday night between my buddy here to my left, and I told him that I was pulling from Miami to beat North Carolina, and he came back, couldn't believe what I said, and he said, "You got to be kidding me." And of course, I was just pulling his leg, but I'm glad to see UNC stomp Miami, and I think the Noles will meet you guys in the ACC championship.
We can only hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Real quick, Commissioner Price mentioned basis. It was good to be over basis over at the Regional Skills Center and the room full of people in the community supporting Onslow County Schools. Money, time, mentorship, and I think we should really recognize MNAC. That was recognized as the special award, the mentoring group that does a great job of going into our schools. They're at Northside High School, the Onslow County Learning Center, and I can't remember the other schools, but I do know that group, Mr. Mario Harris, and is doing a great job and making a difference in the lives of children. And I'm sure, Mr. Warren, that Onslow County Schools and the teachers, especially in elementary, are very excited to know that another 700 pounds plus of candy will be going out to our students. So November 1st is always an exciting day in the classroom. With that being said, lots of stuff going on in Onslow County, lots of good things going on in Onslow County. We appreciate everything everybody does to support the citizens, especially those of you that work for Onslow County government. With that being said,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
motion and a second to adjourn.